Hi guys, it's me and teacher assistant Summer, ready to begin an awesome Thursday PowerPoint video. So let me make sure I'm sharing my screen with my PowerPoint. It says it is Thursday, April 9th, and our objective, you guys will be able to understand the process of forming and relating ideas for your AP Art Portfolio exam. Guys, you need to make sure you are listening and looking at this whole video because there are answers in here that you will get from seeing the whole video. So today, in today's lesson, you will learn and need to know for the exit ticket what it means to revise artwork and ideas and what it may look like in your art portfolio. We will also look at the scoring rubric, what they are looking for when grading your artwork. And don't forget, guys, every Monday will be art review days for AP Art. No assignments on Monday, just review of past lessons or answering questions. Every teacher has a different review day. Mine is on Mondays, and because of that, I will also be changing our live video days from Wednesdays to Mondays. So now every Monday, we will also go live, but remember, that means there will not be any exit tickets or assignments on Monday. So you don't have to worry about that. That is just for you to go back and review or finish any works that you need to finish. So the scoring rubric, guys, this is super important. Make sure that you are following along. We do not want a 1, we do not want a 2, we want to aim for a 3 for the writing statement. I know I shared this rubric with you before, but I have to share it again because we need to make sure when it comes to our writing statement, we are aiming for that 3. In our portfolio, they are going to score us from 1 through 5, but for our writing statement, they are scoring us from 1 through 3. Let's go ahead and see what they're looking for. Written evidence identifies an inquiry that guides the sustained investigation, and visual evidence demonstrates the sustained investigation. That is just a fancy term for saying they want to see how your artwork relates to your theme and how the visual evidence, what we're looking at when we're looking at your artwork, shows where you are using your ideas, your materials, and process all together, especially in your written statement. So I'm going to share with you how that looks with a student's example. So look at the wall, guys. If you see, yes, guys, this is found objects. This is why this is a perfect example of showing you a student's artwork, because this student has already gotten a qualifying score on their exam. This student's artwork was, this was from a couple years back, and their qualifying score was, I believe, a 4. So we take a look at their artwork. Look at the wall. All of this artwork is found objects. They have actually ripped up pieces of food, cardboard boxes with food labels, as well as it looks like peanut butter and so forth, and they taped it to the wall. On this slide right here, they taped money to the wall. This is more of like an exhibit artwork, but why do you think this student chose to do this form of found object artwork? So let's look a little bit more. So I'm going to share now my PowerPoint with this student's sustained investigation. So we're going to briefly cover all 15 of his artworks. We've already looked at these. We're going to go now to number 3. It looks like bills and papers maybe having to do with diplomas, pretty much hanging from a wall. Then right here, it looks like a shelf with food and string with beads that are pretty much hanging from the bottom of that. This right here looks like clothes that he went ahead and took an aerial photo of. And I'm going to briefly cover this. So this right here, as you can see, looks like a whole bunch of clear boxes with household items, electronic items, maybe everyday objects you would find in your house that are kind of just laying around. Same thing, everyday objects, but look at the way that he has decided to put these everyday objects in a way where it sort of looks like patterns. So he's still using all of the elements and principles to display all of this artwork. But why do you think he chose to use these household items? What do you think it is that he's trying to say? So that is why it is very crucial that we look at his sustained investigation written statement. So now let's go ahead and cover that really briefly. So example, student written evidence. Part 1, telling the story of your theme. So throughout all that artwork, what is he trying to say? So let's start off with reading his statement. It says, in my body of work, I am investigating the overwhelming qualities that accompany issues in the household between family members through the use of collecting, staging, and documenting large quantities of objects that are associated with and often cause complications while pushing them to be hyper-organized and separate to serve as a stark contrast to the organization and structure that I often seek in my home life. So now I am coming to terms or making sense of all of that awesome artwork that he displayed. He's basically saying all of those household items have probably been the source of conflict and arguments within the household. Maybe I want to borrow this, maybe I want to borrow that. And by displaying them, he is showing his theme. He is showing his story behind that. So that's a great intro, a great way to start off a written statement for part 1, telling the story of your theme. And I can see the visual evidence with the artwork there. So now the written evidence part 2, revision. But how is he stating and showing revision within his written statement? And here's a perfect example. Part 2 of his sustained investigation, he says, my investigation started out as a dissection. So it's pretty much a fancy term for dissecting. So he's dissecting into family arguments. So he's researching into family arguments that directly relate to me and the rest of my family. Initially, my work was collections of photographs of the objects that were in my house and were the direct cause of conflict. Images 1 and 2, as my investigation continues, I ask myself, what would help portray these objects more coherently? So he's saying images 1 and 2, he started off with just plain photography. So let's go back to images 1 and 2. He's saying that these images right here created conflict. So I can see how he's saying food in his household creates conflict. Money in his household creates conflict. Now it's all making sense. Your written statement should tie that visual evidence together. Now when I look at his artwork along with his written statement, I understand why he used elements and principles of pattern. He also used rhythm within the labels, as you can see in part 1 right here. You see how it's kind of goes smaller right there. So he's still using elements and principles, but now I can tell why he chose to use the found objects. So it all makes sense. His family gets into conflicts over food, and we all know that this is displayed because his family gets into conflicts over money. So this is a great example that goes with his second part of his statement. So now revision, guys, right here. He says, initially, my work was collections of photographies. So he started off with photography. Where did he revise it? He's saying now that we're in my household. So I'm going to briefly go over the yellow highlighted part. Now he says, I asked myself what would help portray these objects more coherently. So I decided to incorporate the actual objects as opposed to taking photos of them. So now he's incorporating, remember the shelf with the beads, and he's talking about image 3. So now he's actually incorporating the objects within his artwork. And then he goes on by labeling more of the images. Guys, in part 2, please make sure you label which sustained investigation pieces show your evidence. Show where it is that you had some form of revision, where it is that you want to discuss a bit more. Now, you don't have to talk about each and every one of your 10 artworks, but please make sure that you are discussing the artworks that show up with your revision, with your experimentation, They want to see all of that within the written statement. So now, the visual evidence, photographs. So they use photography in image 1 and 2 as a visual statement. So food packing, money, this is all the conflicts that he's seeing within his household. So that was the visual evidence right there. So we are going to continue now. Do you still need to go back and finalize your written statement to make sure you are following the rubric? Yes, guys, even though you have submitted your written statement to Google Doc, that does not finalize it. That just means you already have it there for you to go back and finalize it. So now you're going to look at this video. You're going to make sure you finalize it because remember, they are scoring us from 1 through 3 on our written statement, and we need to make sure we get that 3. Remember, before we submit it to College Board, it needs to be well written and 1,200 characters. So make sure if you need to, you go back and finalize it. So what do you need to do to finalize your written statement? Go back to your Google Doc where you save your written statement and double check that you have a well-written statement. If not, go back and add what you need or remove what you don't need. Use the rubric in this PowerPoint or in the link I give you to see AP rubric. So I will also attach the link to this AP rubric within this assignment where it says general assignments, and I share with you the information for this PowerPoint. All right, guys. You will copy and paste your written statement to College Board once and only once we have our PowerPoint video lesson on written statement submission. So we are not going to copy and paste it to College Board because we feel like we finished it yet. No, guys, we need to make sure we double check, triple check that we are using the rubric, that we are making sure our written statement is finalized. So moving on. Directions for submitting your Thursday's assignment/exit ticket due today at 11:59. Must see, guys, you have to view all this PowerPoint. Answer the following questions, copy and paste questions, and attach it to whatever format is easier for you. If you like, you can answer questions on paper and take a picture of the response. Attach it to today's assignment labeled Thursday's exit ticket. So question 1, looking at the example student written evidence. Part 1, what is the student investigating in his written statement? So guys, what is he investigating? Make sure you go back to right here in my body of work. I am investigating, okay? And if you look at the video, I'm giving you a question, I'm giving you the answer. I am investigating the overwhelming, and I'll let you continue on, but that is the response for number 1. All right, guys, do you still need to go back and finalize your written statement to make sure you are following the rubric? You guys should know the answer to that. What do you do to finalize your written statement? Guys, we already know. You should know the answer to that because we know that it's right here. So, do you need to finalize your written statement? Yes, you go back to your Google Doc where you saved your written statement and double check that you have a well-written statement. All right, next question. You will copy and paste your written statement to to College Board once. And here is the answer. Once we have our PowerPoint video lesson on written statement submission. And let's go to the next question. Hold on, sorry. Is there school Friday, April 9th? Guys, no, there is no school. It is your free day. Take care, be safe, and enjoy your 3-day weekend, but you do have school back on Monday, April 13th. So once again, no school Friday, April 9th. What day out of the week will be our review days? Guys, from now on, you know our review days will be on Mondays. Instead of going live every Wednesday at 1, we will be going live now every week. And what day? Monday. All right, guys, I hope, oh yeah, and I gave you some of the answers to this PowerPoint. Make sure you are looking at all of them. Guys, I hope you